Good morning. Today we're going to look at what happens when an item is dropped from a height and falls. So just a basic vertical motion question. In this case, we have a worker who drops a wrench from the top of a very tall tower. Okay, and so let's get our tower drawn here. There's our tower. Here is our wrench falling to the ground, and that distance is 80 meters. And the question is, how fast is it going as it strikes the ground? All right, now I'm actually going to set downward to be negative. All right, you may choose downward to be positive, and that would be fine. I'm going to choose downward to be negative, and so we'll work through it that way. At this point, I hope you understand the difference in assigning down to be negative or positive and why you might choose to do that or not. Let's see, let's write our givens. 80-meter tall tower. Okay, so that is going to be the displacement since the wrench falls from the top to the bottom. Now, since it finishes 80 meters below where it started, that is actually going to be a displacement of negative 80 meters because it occurs downwards. The other thing that we know is the acceleration, which is negative 9.8 meters per second squared. Remember, that's the acceleration of any object that's in free fall here on Earth. And since it is just dropped, not thrown or otherwise propelled, it will be an initial velocity of 0 meters per second. Okay, now my traditional favorite formula to use to find final velocity would be Vf equals Vi plus At. However, we do not know T and we do not know Vf. That is two missing variables in only one formula, so we cannot do that. We will need to go instead to our alternate formula. Vf squared equals Vi squared plus 2 times A times delta D. All right. Looking for Vf, so we will leave that as a letter. Vi is 0. 2 times negative 9.8 times negative 80. And I just want to take a moment to say that if you had chosen up to be positive, then all of these values would be different. Okay, but since I chose down to be negative, all of these values happen in the downward direction, and so we are going to need all of those signs to match. All right, and one more there at negative 80. And if you had chosen down to be positive, then all of those would be positive, but we didn't, so we're moving on. All right. Vf squared will equal, I'm just going to take a quick moment and punch that in on my calculator. Let's see, 18.6 times 80. All right, I get 1568. So Vf squared is 1568. And then when I take the square root of that, I'm going to get 39.6 on my calculator. Now here's the problem though. Which direction is this item falling? Remember, it's actually falling downwards, so we need to give it the negative sign. And so I will do that. And you say, wait, Mr. Willis, can you just throw random signs around as if, all willy-nilly, as if the world has no order to it? No, you can't. But remember, When you take the square root of something, you get both a plus and a minus root. You get a positive root and a negative root, and we need to select the negative root as our correct choice because it is in the downward direction. If you chose everything to be positive, then you don't have to worry about that choice and you can just go with what's on your calculator. But since I chose downward to be negative, I will need to also choose the negative root. Okay, that is going to be our final answer. And thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a great day, and I hope that was helpful.